Excuse me. Hey, how's it going? No problem. Today I wanted to talk about the whole LGBTQ plus slash drag people panic, and I wanted to just tell another little story about growing up in Hollywood. So, I had recently met this guy on Facebook, and he wasn't like someone that he wasn't a friend of a friend, is what I'm saying. And so we got to talking, and he was telling me about, well, he was saying things about Hollywood that sort of like revealed what his ideas were about the place, and I kind of had to set him straight on a few things. So it kind of inspired this too, but it's also in the news. Like, people are freaking out about the drag thing. So he thought, this guy that I met, he thought that Hollywood was just like people shooting up on the streets and fornicating, like, I guess. And he just thought it was really scary and horrible. And some parts of it are, some parts of it are, some parts of it is, but not all of it. If you watch the news, it just looks like there's slow speed gun chases on the freeway and all over the streets, and flash rob mobs everywhere. And it actually wasn't like that when I lived there. So I want to tell you about when I was in junior high school and I had to walk down Santa Monica Boulevard. Well, I didn't have to. I just did because it was like where I would meet up with other friends that were coming from either direction, because I lived south of it. So some of my friends would be on their way as well, coming from either direction, and we kind of diverge there, or not diverge, converge, and make our way to school, like get breakfast or, whatever it was. So walking back and forth that way, I got to know one of the sex workers. And it was a guy, and I actually bought weed off of him the first time we got talking. I don't remember if I asked him, if he asked me. I think I asked him because I was like in the 76, 77 year of school. I was 12 and I'm born in December. So I was like not behind grade wise, but age wise. So, I was young, is what I'm saying. So I think I asked him actually, and he hooked me up, But he also, like, as we got to know each other better, he would like walk with me. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself, but as we got to talking and getting to know each other better, we became friendly. And then time passed and whatever, and I tended to bounce all over the place. And so I would not see him for a while. And, we pick up where we left off. But at some point, this was like when I was in high school or even out of it, that we hadn't seen each other in a long time because I had moved out of town, out of like Los Angeles completely, or out of Hollywood to somewhere else in LA. And, we were like really happy to see each other, and we just kind of reminisced, because as I got older and I was going to clubs, he would walk me like at night, coming and going. Like, if we happened to run into each other, he would walk with me part of the way, as far as he, like, whatever constraints held him, he would go as far as he felt like he could go. And that was nice. I mean, it was nice knowing that there was somebody out there looking out for you, like looking out for you to see if you're coming, and also looking out for you. And that was a sex worker on Hollywood, or on Santa Monica Boulevard. So, I understood that there were like hetero sex workers and then same sex ones, and like I said, I knew him for years, so over time, I would say, understood the mechanics of like the same sex, vaguely. And I mean, I was just aware that like some of them were doing straight sex work and some of them were doing same sex work. I know from him and from other women that I talked to that it was dangerous and stuff like you see on TV, and like having conversations with them about like when the Hillside Strangler was working, like I don't even know why my dumbass was out on the streets at night, but LA is hot and we did not have air conditioners, probably why. But, I'd be talking to them and they'd be like telling you about some friend of theirs that they hadn't seen for a while, and next thing you know, they're on the news and the police are hitting them up and they're scared to death to get in cars. And I was like, oh, what a nightmare. Get a job. Not to them. But, because they have their reasons for doing that, whatever they were. I can't. Listen, if you have the nerve to be out there doing that, I doubt you're out there for fun, for one thing, and damn, you're brave. Like, you're a bigger man than I, that's for sure. And speaking of that, one time I was walking to a club with these 3 girlfriends of mine, and one of them, I don't know why she did this. She was like a tall, thin girl, so I don't know, I guess she thought she was like big and bad or something. But she starts walking up to this black street worker woman, or sex worker woman. They play way too much Billy Joel on that station. Anyway, and she like gets in her face, and I don't recall the exact words she used because I probably just flushed them from my mind immediately, but I knew she was marching up to her to say something smart ass, and I knew this woman, and I had seen her and other women boxing with each other, and I knew she was bad. And I'm like, hey, you don't want to. I'm like, no, don't talk to. No, I'm like trying to stop her. She's like, no, I'm thinking she's all big and bad or something. I think she had a Mickey's big mouth, had some liquid balls that day. But she walks up to this woman and she says something demeaning about her doing the work and why doesn't she get a real job or something stupid is what I recall specifically. And this woman said, you said what now? And my friend started to say some other stupid smartness, and the woman slapped it right out of her mouth and proceeded to start to wail on her. I mean, she was truly black and blue in the face, and it took me and my friend, the other black girl, to like get her to stop because she was like, and that's that. See, this is the second time I'm doing this, so I'm not sure now if I have said this already, but I'll just say it again because it's the second one. Maybe I didn't. These Karens, this phenomenon where they're just walking up and unloading on people because they've been waiting their whole life to do it or something, and it's just coming up from the floor like the dirt, and I have looked at so many of those and thought, one day they're going to come up to somebody and it's going to be that day that they're on their last straw. And I've seen a couple of them now, and it ain't pretty, especially if it's some black woman that's had her last straw, because we hold in a lot. So call us angry, whatever. Like, generally we're not, but don't fuck with us. We got a lot of shit in here waiting to jump out and get you. So anyway, it took both of us to just kind of like make her come to her senses. And then her friends were there too. I mean, she was gonna really hurt my friend. So it was a learning opportunity, that's for sure. Although I knew what was gonna happen. But like I said, or I may not have said it here, I may have said it in the previous recording, and that is, if you are doing that job, I mean, I don't think anyone's doing it just for kicks. You are there because you're in some kind of dire straits and you need big money, and and you're going to risk it. You're going to take a risk to get it. So I was too young at the time when I was talking to these people to ask them any deep questions like that, but we certainly had like conversations sort of. I mean, I didn't stand there like all day talking to him like I did with the dude, because me and the dude would go down to this little park where we could sit and hang out, and it wasn't like, oh, this kid's talking to a streetwalker, and he was not that much older than maybe 4 or 5 years. But they're on the street, and they did have pimps, so they couldn't be screwing off. So we weren't talking to them long, or I wasn't. The point I'm making by mentioning all that is because, yes, there's drug stuff, and yes, there's violent stuff, but if you're around an element like a streetwalker, you are more likely to run into that kind of trouble. Or if you are in a gang or mess with people in gangs, then you're gonna be proximate to trouble. Well, that's just my opinion, but yeah. And so there's kids and families, married couples, single people, just all range of just regular people around there. And I don't know if people have a concept of how big LA is. Like, there's houses and houses and apartments for miles where there's no like commercial stuff, except for maybe a convenience store. On a boulevard, there will be stuff, but it's not like this guy that I had met on Facebook. I think he just thought it was complete anarchy and mayhem, and I'm like, no, dude. How could it be? Like, families live there. So, I just had to kind of explain to him that, stuff like that, yeah, it does happen, but it's not everywhere. It's not everyone. Like, everyone that lives in LA is not a psychotic criminal. But then there's, like, all these news items that I've been seeing where, the people are... I thought they had kind of been able to, like, just get over the gay people, but they're all losing their minds about that again. And the trans people, yes, of course. They don't even know what to do. And the drag people. Can I just say that those people are just ascribing all kinds of stuff to those people that is their own crap for being here. It's not like the drag people's deal. They're performers, they're entertainers, it's art, it's their job. And there's like straight men and women, gay men and women, young people, like really young people, and people all over the spectrum do it. Business people, like all kinds of non-entertainers, except for that thing, And then it's like therapeutic in a way. You get to like go out and let your insides be out and free, I guess. And what I think people don't understand that are freaking out against them is that the Proud Boys are doing the same thing. Boogaloo kids are out there doing the same thing, and all the other groups that are out there and against these people that will run up and just start attacking them or killing them. And they're like, you're the people with stuff wrong with you? The gay people that I know, they are just regular people. In fact, many of them, I don't find out till I've known them for a really long time that they're gay. And I don't care because it hasn't impacted our relationship at all. And yeah, that's, I think, what people need to realize is like what you're really looking at, and you need to be able to see that the same thing is right next to it, and there's contrast. The drag people are not looking for ways to mow people down and erase them and cancel them and none of that. They're just out there trying to do their thing, and the more the merrier if you're into it, but if you want to do that fighting and violent stuff, nobody wants that. So, I guess I'm an example of being immersed in that sort of everything that I was talking about. uh, gay people all over the place. Stuff that would horrify people that, yeah, it's not great to have sex workers on your street. I guess if you have kids, you don't want them to see it and blah, blah, blah. I don't have kids, but I was somebody's kid. Although my mom probably would have had a cow if she knew I had social relationships with sex workers on the street. But what she didn't know did nothing to her. But that's the thing. I got to learn all this stuff, as I said, from like a pretty early age. But that wasn't even the beginning of like all manner of sexual shit that I should have known nothing about, because that's just the world, you know? And the way we deal with it starts here, you know. And what I find helpful is just being able to put myself in other people's shoes, you know, because I don't know, I have that. Not everyone does, not everyone cares, not everyone wants to. Everybody's on a different page, and I think we got to start understanding that too, because I don't know why so many people are so dead set on having all these other people they don't even know do things their way. And it's like, well, we got our own way already, thanks. Yeah, that kind of thing is, dude, boundaries. Stay in your lane, mind your business. I got more to say, but I'm not going to do it right now. And I'm shaking my head because I'd be talking all day. Okay, I think I made my point. The gays are okay. Don't be afraid. And LGBTQ plus, drag, everybody else, just leave them alone. They're not doing the stuff that you're accusing them of. That's coming out of your head. That's stuff you're afraid of. And why are you afraid of it? Why are you obsessed with what they're doing? You ever wonder about that? You ever get stuck on that? Anyway. Thank you and good night. Well, I did it wrong. Thank you and good night. 3 fingers, there you go. Oh, now it's on screen.